Shalom, saints. I hope that you're well today. I just wanted to follow up from our recent video about the parable of the tares amongst the wheat. Yahusha taught a striking and penetrating parable that illustrated some very sober and powerful spiritual truths. And I thought it might be helpful for us to take a very brief survey of just a sample of some of the commentary that people have offered about the question, are all people really people? There are some fascinating things out there. And while some people might say, well, what's the value of this? What's the spiritual value of knowing this? Even if this is actually true, what difference does it make? Well, first of all, the Master actually talked about the principle in Matthew 13. So I think that he thought that it made a difference and that it was worth knowing. Secondly, I think it helps us to inform and refine the way that we look at those around us. Now, I'm not suggesting that we become spiritual detectives and suddenly find that everyone around us is a fake person, a simulation person. But I do think that we who are the chosen of the Most High Yahuwah need to be sensitive to the fact that there are energy vampires around us. There are leeches around us who want nothing more than to touch us virtually or physically in order to drain the life and purpose that the Most High put into us so that they might take it for themselves and so that they might defile us and prevent us from fulfilling the purposes the Father established for our lives. So, what is the value of knowing this stuff? It's important because if you have an enemy, particularly an adversary in your own household or amongst your neighbors or amongst your coworkers or amongst your family members and relatives and friend group. If you have an enemy in any of those populations and they have access to you, intimate access to the way you think about things, your concerns, your hopes, your dreams, your visions, and they are your enemies and not your friends, they are in a position to do great damage to you, and you wouldn't even know it because you trust them. So you are spilling your guts to someone who hates them. You are filling people's minds and ears with your hopes and aspirations and positioning them to be able to shoot those aspirations and hopes down. And you see your dreams failing. You see life faltering in front of you, and you have no idea why. Could it be that there are tares in your life who are gunning for you, gunning for your dreams, gunning for your hopes, gunning for the ways that you want to obey the Most High and resisting His will right there under your nose, so to speak? Saints, I think this is critical. So I'd like us to listen together to just a few testimonies that people have put out there on social media. They are feeling it. Are you?
Listen up, y'all. There are beings that is walking this earth and they are not human. I just came from Kroger's. I just got off of work. I went to go pick up a few items, y'all. I go to the bread aisle. Now, the bread aisle is super long. I'm at one end of the bread aisle. There's a guy that's about 3/4 of the way down in the bread aisle. He got a cart. I got a cart. He's looking at me. And you know how you can see out your peripheral that somebody's staring at you. He ain't just looking, but he's staring at me. I kind of look his way. He's still staring. I go ahead and I get my bread. I go back around the other way because I'm going to the international aisle to get some pasta and some other stuff. While I'm in the international aisle at one end, this guy comes around and he's at the top of the same aisle. I see him still looking at me. Now, mind you, there's a couple of things that I need to get out of that aisle. So the first part of the aisle, I grab what I need to grab, and I go about midways down. He's at the other end. So he's staring at me still. So I kind of look at him and I go like, how you give somebody that type look? He's still staring. So I'm looking for what I'm looking for. I can't really find it because he's throwing me off because he keeps staring. Mind you, this man don't have nothing in his cart. He's not even turned to look at any food. He's looking directly at me. By this time, I'm like, you know what? I'm not on it. I'm about to just stare you down. So I turn to look at him. Y'all, when I tell you, this man stared at me and his eyes turned black. Everything in his whole eyeball, not just the pupil, but the white part, turned completely black. He looked, it said black, and then he walked away. When I tell you I left that cart sitting in that aisle, I didn't even buy nothing from Kroger's. I left out and I came home. There is stuff, there is beings that is walking in this earth, and they at the store, they at whatever, they look like us and everything else, but they are not human. I don't even know what to say.
How many NPCs are roaming around us all the time? You know, like think about how many people are aware of things. And I've started to realize that there's all these NPCs who've been downloaded into this realm, and that's kind of what we're around a lot of the times. Like all the times you're like roaming around and you're like, meet somebody, you ask them a couple questions, go, oh my gosh, an NPC. Non-playable character is what it is. And when you think of the movie Truman Show, he's sitting there and he's talking to his wife and she starts like selling him an ad. And he's like, who are you talking to? So when you're talking to NPCs, it's kind of what it is. You say something like, oh my gosh, they're bombarding our skies. And they're like, man, it's kind of cloudy today. And you're like, wait, what? But they're bombarding our skies. They're changing the weather. And they're like, what do you mean? It's supposed to be a cloudy overcast. That's what the weatherman said. I was watching Channel 7 News and they told me it was going to be cloudy. And then you go, NPC. The NPC is put in your path to drain your energy. Because when you go to have your conversation about whatever topic it may be, it just doesn't click. That's because they're an NPC. So they're draining your essence the entire time. You're better off sitting by yourself. You're better off sitting by yourself and meditating. They're just going to steal your essence. And everything is an energetic exchange. So if we allow that and we consent to that, that person will take away your essence. It's kind of just like sucking you all up.
And I'm going to say something, and it's probably going to grab a lot of people like I'm out of my mind, but I'm a deep thinker, man. And you know, I know for a fact that everybody that walk around looking like me, looking like you, wearing this skin is not human. Everybody that we deal with in this world is not human beings. They're hybrid people walking around that are mixed with humans and some other kind of crazy ass species. But I'm telling you, everybody don't have feelings. Everybody don't care. There's some people who have such a dark side to them. If you think about even, let's just touch on a school shooter. Somebody who can walk into a school. I ain't talking about a kid who's gone to school, a kid who's been bullied. There have been people who walk right into schools and kill little kids and don't care anything about it. There are people who walk into churches and kill and shoot people, don't care anything about it. There are people who just do not feel. And if you pay attention to people, and if you pay attention to your own discernment and to your own energy, you'll realize that a lot of people that you just realize you don't like off rip are a lot of evil, demonic people. And it's not something that's wrong with you. It's just that you have this sixth sense that you can pick up demonic, evil people in your presence. And people might look at you and be like, well, why she don't hang around us, or why he don't hang around us? Because he or she knows that your ass is evil as hell and nobody wants to pick up your spirit. But it's a very evil, demonic world that we live in, and we think a lot of times that when we're dealing with people, especially when we're sleeping with people, that, oh, this is just a dude I'm sleeping with, or this is just a chick no, you're sleeping with a demon. And y'all got to be careful, and all of us got to be careful, man, because they're walking around and they're looking just like us, but they're not the same inside. And what we're doing, once we're sleeping with these people, we're having babies and we're having little demonic kids. It might sound funny, but you wonder why these kids, man, is acting so crazy these days, and this generation is not like our generation, because there are demons being born. Stop sleeping around so much, and we got to stop dealing with so many people, because demons are alive and they're walking around and they look just like us.
Got a little story time. And it's my story time, like my own. So I'm a person that, like, every single time I'm bored, I'm just like thinking of like stuff. Like, I don't smoke personally, but like, you ever been like around people that smoke and they high and then they just ask you like random questions that really make you think? Yeah, that's me. The only part is I don't smoke. So it was one day I was at work and it was a very slow day. I work at the mall, but like my location at the mall is like one of the least busy locations out of the whole franchise. So it was a slow day and, you know, I was bored and it was this customer that came in. Mind you, I had just finished like talking about like supernatural stuff and like people being real, people being bots and stuff like that. So I was just thinking about that with one of my coworkers. We was talking about it, and then that's when a customer came in. It was this older lady. Mind you, this is not the first time this happened. The same exact thing happened with somebody else. So she was an older black lady, like probably like in her late 50s, 60s maybe. Or she could have been older than that, but I don't want to just like put that out there that she was mad old. So when she came in, being that I was already thinking of something like that, I was just thinking like, oh, what if this lady is not even a real lady? Like, what if she looked human but she not? So nobody wanted to take her order, so I took her order. When I took this lady's order, so I'm looking at her, and I'm looking at her face, obviously, while I'm taking her order. And her energy was just off. Like, something about her was off. I'm taking her order. She not smiling. She not really talkative. She's just saying like yes, no. She ordered a burger. I think she didn't even want like any toppings on the burger. And then that's when I thought in my head like, this lady's not real. That's exactly what I said in my head. I said, this lady's not real. Why this lady, like, the way she looked at me after I said that in my head, I'm like, can she read my mind? She just looked at me and she like made a face like she seemed mad. Like, after I thought that in my head, her facial expressions was just giving off like she was mad. Like, she was looking at me like it was mad weird. I didn't say anything to my coworkers about it, but after that I was just thinking like, what if that lady was really not even real whole time, because we were just talking about it and I'm thinking something in my head, and as soon as I thought of it, she made a face. Usually the customers that come into my job, they're continuous customers. They always come in. I never seen this lady before that day, and I never seen this lady after that day. I don't know if she was real or not. I'm gonna assume she is, but I just feel like that's a weird coincidence.
Now I'm about to show y'all exactly how NPCs work, right? Here I am at this Wawa, right? Now mind you, Wawa got two sides. So on this side you see all these cars, right? All these cars. I'm gonna turn around so you can see all these cars, right? All these cars everywhere. I'm finna show y'all how NPCs work, and y'all don't think this stuff is for real, bro. There's like 50 million cars out here, right? Now there's another side of the Wawa as well that you can park all packed, bro. Everything is packed out here. I'm about to show you. I'm about to show you exactly versus how many people. Hold on, let me see. Which lot I'm at? I'm about to show you. Y'all see all this traffic? And I'm telling you, it's bad traffic. Let's go and see. Look at this. Thank you. Do y'all see this? 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 This is how NPCs work. And I wish y'all would understand this. That's how exactly how they work. If you don't know, now you know. Because the last video when I said something about NPCs, they were like, oh no, you just random. It's just random. There's nobody in this freaking store. Probably like 6 people compared to actually what's outside.
Please tell me I'm not the only person that looks somebody in their eyes, and when I see like nothingness, like it's just empty, like it's unoccupied, I don't think it's a human enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what it may be, but you not in there.
I used to do house calls in the hills of the Appalachian Mountains. Many of my patients lived off the grid in areas where sometimes they didn't have running water or electricity. Oftentimes I wouldn't have cell service or GPS, so I would be navigating using the compass in my car and a map. All of my stories are changed for the sake of HIPAA and for the sake of storytelling. I was thinking of this story today because it's snowing outside, and during this particular encounter, I was going out into the middle of nowhere, like a very heavily forested area in the snow, to see a patient that lived in a double wide trailer in the middle of the forest. And like the GPS service, like the cell service, dropped me twice while I was trying to get to their place, and I kept passing the small narrow gravel road that took me to their double wide trailer, and it was just a mess. So I arrive to the patient's home, I knock on the door opens like an inch, and the gentleman inside, we're going to call him Mr. Boone. Mr. Boone says, "Are you alone?" And I said, "Yes, I'm the nurse practitioner here to do your house call." Closes the door, opens the door back up, tells me to come in and have a seat. I sit down, and it's almost like he mimics me exactly the way he sits down. And then, you know, I'm talking to him. I use my hands a lot while I'm talking. And it's funny because he starts doing the same. The gentleman looks fine. I suppose it's what you would expect of someone in their mid-80s, with one exception. This person does not blink. Their eyes are wide open, and there's like tears coming down their face, as if their eyes are so dry that they need to blink, but they can't. I finish what I'm doing. We do the visit, we complete the visit. I'm still kind of thrown off by the fact that this person does not blink at all and refuses, despite me asking, to like address it, you know? So I stand up, he stands up really quickly. And he said to me, "I'm still learning him." And I'm like, "What?" And he says, "I'm still learning certain things." Like, okay. Is there anything in particular you need to understand post-op? Like, and he's still looking at me with these super wide open eyes, like they're starting to get pink, tears running down his face. And he takes a step towards me, and I take a step back. I'm like, "You're starting to freak me out now, right?" And he had said, like, "I got the voice right." And at this point, I'm just like spiraling. I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about?" He goes, "I have the voice right, I can do the stand right, but you notice everything." And I was like, no, we're not doing this. No, man, I did my job. I'm done. I'm through. There's no reason for me to be here anymore. I've already got my bag in my hand. I had already stood up like I told you. I walked backwards to the door and out, gone. I'm going to my car, right? And then I hear someone call out to me, "You forgot something." I didn't forget anything. And that wasn't his voice either. That is not a man's voice. Most unsettling, messed up thing I wish I could explain to you. Got in my car, drove away. I actually still have a picture of the road leading up to that double wide trailer, because I thought I perhaps might have to come back again, and I had such a hard time finding it. And I still wonder, like, from time to time, if that patient was like sitting down when I sat down and standing up when I stood up, and like walking with me, like almost trying to pick up on small nuances. And it makes me wonder, like, did they just not understand blinking? Like, could they not mimic the blinking, and so they couldn't look as natural as they were trying to be? I never believed in skinwalkers. Never. Right? Like, come on, that's kind of a far cry. Like, let's be serious. But I wish I could explain to you how strange this person was. It was such an odd visit. I didn't end up going back. I never had to go back to that person, which is excellent, because I don't think I really wanted to.
Don't mind me, I just woke up, but I want to share something with y'all that I have been experiencing for months and months and months now, right? So I live in a 3-floor apartment, right? I'm on the second floor, and some weird things been going on, right? And I want y'all to drop in the comments if you had this same experience. So every morning at 4 o'clock when I get up, right, mind you, I don't make no type of noises. I don't make sounds. Like, you wouldn't even know that I'm up, right? Because when I wake up in the morning, I'm very quiet because I have to be respectful for my neighbors on the first floor. So I'm a very quiet tenant, right? So I get up every morning at 4 o'clock to get myself ready for work. And I notice, like, every time I move an inch out the bed, my third floor neighbor moves an inch out her bed. Like, you could hear her get out of her bed, right? And it don't matter how quiet I am in my apartment. It's like when I walk in the kitchen, she walks in her kitchen. Like, you could hear her footsteps following me, right? Or like, even like right now, I'm in the bathroom and she's in the bathroom. And I already know what you're going to say. Well, maybe she's getting ready for work. And I already know what you're going to say. Well, maybe she's getting ready for work and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. No, because I had other experiences where even on the weekends where I slept late and I woke up at a different time. And it's like every time I move out of my bed, she moves out of her bed. Every time I either go to my kids' room, I'm like, okay, well, let me just go to my kids' room and see if she's going to follow me in there. Lord and behold, I go to my kids' room, she goes to her kids' room, or she goes to the same room that I'm going in. And I'm like, wait a minute, I could be tripping, right? But I'm not. Because then I could tiptoe and go to my kitchen, or tiptoe to go in my daughter's room, my oldest daughter. And it's like, bro, she goes in the same exact room on the third floor. And it's like, I'm thinking for a second, like, is there any cameras? Like, is she spying on me? Like, what's up? That shit got me looking in cracks. That shit got me looking like everywhere in my house, like, make sure, like, you know, ain't nobody spying on me. And they're not. But I just think it's so weird. Like, it don't matter how quiet I am. And it's like, you know, let me just try to, like, not make no type of sounds. So to see if she's gonna follow me or not. And she still does. And I'm like, bro, like, we definitely live in the Matrix. Like, we live in a simulation. We gotta be, because it's like, even right now, like, I won't flush my toilet on purpose just to see what she's gonna do. And I'm like, okay, let me just, you know, ease my way back in my room. The bitch won't flush her toilet and she'll ease her way back in her room. Like, and you can hear the footsteps coming from upstairs. But I don't know, like, has anybody else had that same experience? If you did, drop it in the comments, because I hope I'm not the only one. Because, bro, that shit is so weird. Like, even right now, like, you can hear her in the bathroom. Like, just like, you can hear her walking. But I bet you as soon as I get up, right, she gonna get up. I don't know, bro. Like, that shit is weird. That shit is weird. Like, yeah, we definitely, we live in a simulation. Because what?
Honey, are you okay?
Get in.
Truman?
Look.
What?
I predict that in just a moment, we will see a lady on a red bike, followed by a man with flowers, and a Volkswagen Beetle with a dented fender.
Truman.
Look. Lady. Flowers. And...
Truman, this is silly.
There it is! There it is! There's the dented beetle! Yes! Don't you want to know how I did that? I'll tell you. You're on a loop. They go around the block. They come back. They go around again. They just go round and round. Round and round.
You know, I invited Rita and Marlon for a barbecue on Sunday. I'm going to make my potato salad, and I need you to remind me that we need more charcoal.
Are you listening to a word I'm saying?
Real shit. I ain't never seen any of my neighbors come back with groceries. Out of all the apartments I've lived in, I have never seen any of my neighbors come back with groceries. But somehow I'm always seen coming back with groceries. Walmart, Stop and Shop, Best Buy, Big Y, BJ's, Costco's. Like, I shop for my family, but I've never seen any of my neighbors come back with groceries. Like, what type of Matrix simulation bullshit is going on? Because it's like, I'm pretty sure that they got food in their house. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna end up running out of food, but I've never seen any of my neighbors, even to this day, come home with groceries. Me, I might order pizza, I might do DoorDash, I might do Uber Eats, I might do Grubhub when I don't feel like cooking. And my neighbors, they see me order food all the time. They see me go to the grocery store all the time. But for some reason, I've never seen any of my neighbors come home with groceries. I haven't even seen them come home, you know, with a corner store bag, going to the corner store. But somehow it's always me. That's weird. I don't know, like, what y'all think? Like, do y'all see y'all neighbors come home with groceries? I don't.
The guy I went home with from the nightclub, I thought is all human. Little did I know, he's a demon. Story time. So, my boyfriend broke up with me. We have been together for over 3 good years. Out of nowhere, with no reason, nothing at all, he told me that he wasn't interested in the relationship anymore, and therefore, he is moving on. I was super upset. I decided to take myself to the club. It was a Friday. I just wanted to cheer myself up. Fast forward, I get to the club, I get my drinks, music vibing, everything going on good. I'm sat there sipping on my drink, enjoying it. Then something caught my eye. I looked at the corner. What did I see? This really cute looking guy, dressed very smart, sitting and sipping on his drink as well. He was on his own. He glanced at me too and he smiled. I smiled back. I carried on drinking my drink and didn't think of anything. Anyway, I feel a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and I noticed it was him, the guy who was sitting at the corner. He asked me if he could join me. I said sure, because there's no harm in that. We sat there, we chatted, but he didn't even talk much. I was the one yapping, doing all the talking, because I'm like pouring out to him, like my heartbreak, everything. It was like, it wasn't intentional, basically. Anyway, he told me that since I'm really feeling down, why don't I come home with him? He will make me some drinks because he's really good at making drinks. I didn't think anything of it. I just told him just drinks, nothing else. He said yes. Anyway, he drove me and we got to his house. His house is a secluded area, a very massive mansion, not even a house, but a mansion. Anyway, we get in. He asked me to make myself at home, feel at ease. I sat there. He brought me some drinks. We started sipping. Then he said something chilling to me, something I wasn't expecting. Tell me why this guy told me that. Your spirit is very strong. I thought it was just a joke, and I just laughed. Then, as the night went on, he didn't tell me that. Do you believe in life after death? Now, I'm starting to think, what the heck is going on? Why is he talking about these things? Why is he being weird? But then again, I thought maybe it was just the drinks. Then, the light started to flicker. It went off. When it came back on, tell me why this guy's eyes were glowing. He stared at me and he said, "You're coming with me. You're not going home. You are my kind of person. Someone I've been looking for a very long time." People, before I could run, tell me why the door we came through, the door that we entered, we came through in that house was not there. The windows was not there. He started to talk like not human. It started to freak me out. I told him to cut off because he's freaking me out. He said, "This is not a joke. I'm his kind of person and I'm not going home." People, go to part 2 because what happened next will truly shock you. Before I could say anything, he started to step towards me with his eyes glowing bright red. He sounded really weird and strange. I started screaming, pleading, stepping back, asking him why he's doing this. He said he's not here to hurt me, but he's here to take what the world gives him, and I'm the one. Before I knew it, there appeared a fire pit right in the middle of the living room. I then was confused. I didn't even know what to say, what to think. I started to run. I just legged it through the hallway, started opening doors. All the doors were locked, except one door that opened. It was the kitchen. I grabbed a knife. I chucked it at him. He screamed, but not with anger, but with rage, really bad rage. And then he said, "You will never escape. You are mine." I bolted and I saw the door, which I opened. It led to the garden. It was pitch black, no houses, no neighbors, nothing. I started to run. I ran very fast. He didn't follow me. But then a car suddenly appeared. I stopped it. I pleaded and I begged. The man picked me up, asking questions I didn't even answer. He dropped me off at my house. Then I shut the door. I sat there. I cried. I couldn't even sleep that night because I didn't know what the heck I had run into. Anyway, I thought this was the end. Tell me why. I started getting nightmares of me at his house, that mansion, every night. And there he is sat there telling me I'm his forever. I would never escape. I would wake up sweating. I had anxiety, depression. I was stressed. I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know who to tell this because it sounds bizarre. And I think people wouldn't believe me. But anyway, this never stopped. I started praying even harder than before. But still, the dreams were coming. Not every night, but every other night. People, be careful out there. I'd like for you to comment. Let me know what you would have done if that was you in my shoe. But also, moral of the story is that be careful who you go home with. Because people, not everyone is all human. A lot of people out there are demons. They are from the spiritual world. And we need to be super, super careful.
Let me give y'all a story time about a time that I encountered what I believe to not be a real person. And when I say not a real person, I believe that this person was not amongst the land of the living. Or I don't know. I don't think that she was a real person. So I think that she was an entity, or there was an entity inside of her. And so let me explain myself. If you don't believe in a supernatural realm or a realm outside of what you're living in now, then this video might be hard for you to grasp. So maybe about April. It was April. I had been going through a lot. I had been really sick, in and out of the hospital, just battling a lot. And I felt like I was like under spiritual attack because every time I went to the hospital, they were having trouble finding things. You know, it was just like a lot of back and forth. And it was just like the attack was so great. I felt like it was just not of this realm. Like, you ever go through something so crazy, so traumatic that you're like, God, this don't even make no sense. The stuff that's happening don't even make sense. Like, that's where I was at that point in my life. So this one particular night, I had been having some issues. I had been in and out of the hospital, but I was feeling better. But my mom came down to stay with me. She came down from out of town to be with me. So I was coming from work, and I worked out of town. So I was like maybe 3 hours away, and I was finishing up a contract. So this particular night, I was on my way home, and I called my mom. I was like, hey, do you need anything from the store before I get home? Because I got to pass the store anyway. Now, this store by my house, at that point, I had never been inside of the physical store, but I would always get gas at the pumps, like, because they have tap to pay. So I never had to physically go in. But this night, my mom was like, no, it's fine. And then she was like, well, you know what? You can stop and get me such and such. So I pulled up to the store. When I pulled up, I immediately noticed that it had to be about almost 10 o'clock at night. There was not a lot of people in the store. There was the clerk. There was one person at the counter playing lottery. And there was myself. And then there was a young lady in the store. Now, I went up to in my mind, I was like, well, let me scan the store and see if there's anything that I would like. Like, if I see a snack, I'm going to get it. So I just did a quick little 1-2 throughout the store. I didn't see anything. I was already tired from driving. So I turned around from the cooler to get ready to make my way toward the checkout counter. And in the aisle behind me, maybe about 5 feet away from me, there was a Caucasian girl. And when I turned around to her, she was facing me. She had nothing in her hands. She didn't appear to be shopping. I can't even put an age on her, guys. You know how normally you can guess about a person's age or maybe generalize them and say she was a young girl, she was an older lady, she was middle age. I couldn't put age on her at all. When I turned around to her, when I turned around to look at her, she might have been about my height. She had shoulder length, strawberry blonde hair. Like, it was like it wasn't strawberry blonde. It was the reddish brown looking hair. It was about right here. And her face was ghostly pale. And I'm not one to judge off appearance because I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for a long time, so I know that there are illnesses that can affect a person's appearance. This was not like that, y'all. This was nothing like I had seen before. She was the color of this binder. Her face was the color of this binder, but not in a skin texture way. Her face had a kind of almost textured look, like a flaky, floury, ill look. But that wasn't it. That wasn't what did it. When I turned around, she said, we locked eyes. Okay, when I turned around, we locked eyes because she started speaking to me. Her head was positioned in a very unnatural way. She was like, "You're so pretty." And when we locked eyes, my heart dropped. I had a feeling of dread, of fear that consumed me. And she was giving me a compliment, but everything about her gave unnatural. Everything about her gave unreal. Her head that was tilted to the side, this the way it cocked this way when she spoke to me. Her face was pale. It looked like she was sick. Her lips were like a strawberry, like a cherry red. Her eyes were like a greenish brown. But it was everything about her body movements, everything about her tone, everything about the way she looked at me that scared me. My heart dropped, y'all. And I'm gonna tell you exactly who she looked like. I don't know if you guys remember the movie The Exorcist, the original one. She looked exactly like the little girl that was sick in that movie. And I don't watch scary movies. I don't bring scary movies into my house. This is a movie that I saw as a child that I probably watched with my cousins growing up. That's how I was able to identify. And so I said, "Thank you." And I made my way to the counter. When I went to the counter, she didn't continue. I don't even know what she did behind me. I made my way to the counter and I checked out. I got in my car and I was so scared, y'all. I turned around and checked my back seat. I looked in the back seat. This is how scared I was. And as I'm backing out of the parking lot, the convenience stores, they have glass panes. So I'm driving really slow, looking like to see, is she checking out? And I saw her sweatshirt briefly in the store, but I didn't see it anymore. And then I looked at the cars, like I'm trying to make sense of this. I'm looking at the cars, like what kind of car could this young old lady be driving? Like, because she wasn't old enough to where she was just hanging out in the convenience store. She wasn't hanging out. There was nobody. It's not a convenience store where people loiter. She wasn't young enough to just be in there just doing nothing. She would have had a purpose. But I never saw her anymore. Like I saw her sweatshirt, but then it's like she turned around from the counter again. But y'all, when my husband called me, I said, "Can I tell you something?" He said, "What?" I said, "I think I just saw a spirit." I said, "Everything in me feels like she was not real." I said, "In the energy shift that I felt when I locked eyes with her, I'm terrified. I was scared driving home. When I got to my house, I told my mom about it, and my mom immediately said, "Neek," she said, "that wasn't a person." She said, "That was a spirit." She said, "And if she was a real person, God allowed you to see the spirit that was operating in her, or a demonic entity that was in her." Pause, y'all. I told y'all that I had been battling a sickness that month. So that morning on my way to work, I was listening to my prayer, my worship. I was listening to a sermon. And at the end of it, I was praying and I was asking God to reveal to me what was going on around me. And I said this prayer, like, reveal to me the spirits inside of people, like allow them to expose themselves, just because I just wanted clarity about the people that I was around and that was in my space, because I was just going through so much. Fast forward to this encounter, I had forgotten that I even prayed that prayer until my mom brought it back to me. She was like, "And if it was a person, God maybe just allowed you to see the demonic entity that was operating on that person." Y'all, I don't know if y'all believe me or not. I don't know if y'all have ever experienced this or felt this way or not. Listen, everything in me tells me that I didn't encounter a real person, that she was not a real person. That was a spirit, that was an entity, that was something that God had allowed me to see with my spiritual eyes. The fear that I felt, the dread that I felt when I locked eyes with her, I looked at her, my heart dropped. I immediately felt panicked. I felt scared. I felt like, this ain't right. She ain't right. Her body movements was very unnatural. Her head was like this. She said, "You're so pretty." And her head popped up like this. Her voice, she didn't look young enough to possess a voice that sounded so childlike. "You're so pretty." That's how she spoke. I definitely believe that everybody walking the street with us is not amongst us. Let me know if y'all have ever experienced anything like that. But that's just my story.
A host at an Airbnb in New Orleans gives you a warning. Listen to it. We'll call her Kate. Kate was staying in town for a business meeting, so she said she was staying at this cute little Airbnb down around the French Quarter. She was alone. She didn't want to stay in hotels. She said she always kind of got the ick in hotels. She felt like they were more dangerous. So she goes to the Airbnb. She had the code to get in, and the host had left her a handwritten note that said, do whatever, just clean up after yourself. But then it also said, do not open the door after midnight for anyone. She thought that they were just trying to be funny because, of the nightlife that's down there. So she kind of didn't pay any mind to it. The first night, everything was fine. The second night at 12:45, she hears a knock at the door, just 3 little knocks. She said they weren't frantic or like loud or anything. They were just like polite, soft knocks. So she goes to the door, she looks through the peephole, and she sees this gorgeous guy standing there. She said he was like so good looking. He was pale skin, he had dark hair, the most gorgeous eyes she'd ever seen. He says, "Hey, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I left my phone in here the other day." She was kind of weirded out a little bit because she knew she hadn't had any guests, but she thought maybe it was whoever stayed there before her, but she hadn't seen or heard a phone. He tells her, "Hey, I can tell you where it's at. You can go get it for me. You don't even have to let me in." Then he mumbled something that she didn't really hear. She couldn't hear through the door. So without thinking, she just cracked the door a little bit. That's when he winked and said, "Thank you. That's all I needed." Then left. Now, personally, this is where Kate loses me because she said it didn't really scare her because he was so good looking. Girl.
I saw a video of this girl and she was asking for help, and she was basically asking, why is it that when she's around certain people, she immediately feels drained, she feels tired, she wants to go to sleep and just sleep the day away, and she just feel completely drained and she literally has no energy. Baby girl, whoever you're around is an energy vampire. They are literally siphoning your energy from you. Whenever you're around somebody, and even if you're around them for a second, and your energy feels depleted, or you're feeling like you're sleepy or you're tired all of a sudden, that person is 9 times out of 10 an energy vampire, and they are siphoning your energy. It's either that or they are taking energy from you. Like doing some type of spell to grab your energy from you. Because these are two different things. You have energy vampires and you have people that basically do spells to take other people's energy to empower them and make them stronger. I'm gonna repeat that. You have energy vampires, and then you also have people that do spells to like siphon your energy from you. So it's either one or two things. Most of the time, and then it also can be you're around negative energy. Because this is the thing, if you are of light, if you are of a light being, and if you are of light being, dark energy does not like you. So what it does is your energy is basically fighting off the negative energy that is trying to come from this person, and it drains you and it makes you tired. So it could be one or three things of what I just said. Whenever you guys are around somebody and you immediately feel tired, you feel like you have no energy, you want to go to sleep, and when you leave that person you feel completely drained, that person is either one or three things. They are siphoning your energy by doing some type of magic, or they are energy vampires, meaning they are taking your energy from you. As they're speaking to you, as they're talking to you, as they're around you, they're taking your energy from you. Or they are negative energy. They just have this ball. Negative energy is the same thing of light. When a person is of light, they have a light white aura around them. When a person is negative, there's a dark energy around them. And that energy is constantly fighting your light, where your light is fighting off the dark from coming towards you, and it drains your energy. One or three things. My advice to you is to get away from this person, cut them off from your life, because they obviously don't mean you any good. Whenever you're around energy vampires, your energy will be completely depleted. You will not have energy. You can't have energy around an energy vampire because they take all your energy from you, and that energy empowers them. It's just like a vampire, a regular vampire. It's the same scenario. They take blood from a person's neck
in order to empower them and make them stronger. It's the same thing as an energy vampire. An energy vampire is the same thing as a regular vampire. They take your energy in order to make them stronger and empower them. And also, Spirit is just giving me this. You need to take back your power because they have taken it from you. You need to take back your power because they have taken it from you. And that even goes if somebody is doing some type of spell or some type of some Spirit is showing me this. Some people do this like magical spell where they siphon people's energy in order to empower them. Kind of like the energy vampire, but it's a completely different thing. This is literally a spell to siphon your energy directly from you, and it empowers them. It makes them stronger. And you need to take your power back. Once you start taking your power back, you'll notice that they'll probably start wanting to call you, talk to you, or want you to come around them, because they've been living with your energy for so long that once you start taking it back, they're going to notice that you took it back. So I would stay away from this person, these people, and don't even go near them. Cut them off immediately. Immediately. No contact. Whoever this is. I don't know. She didn't say who it was in the video, but if anyone is dealing with this, you need to cut that person off immediately and move on. And if someone is pretty much like negative energy and they're taking your energy, you need to stay away from them because they're a negative force. And that's what it's like. It's like they're taking your energy, and then they're like, and it goes for it's the same thing. Light and dark are literally fighting each other, but the dark wants your energy, and that's why your light is fighting it to keep it off, because it's trying to take your light for their good. It's all the same. It's just 3 different ways to do it. So get away from these people and take your power back. If somebody needs to know how to take their power back, I mean, there's several different ways you can take your power back. Comment below. I'll make a video about taking your power back. Taking your power back is kind of easy, but then it's not. It just depends on who took it. Different people have different strengths. So depending on what type of person this is that has taken it, depending on how strong they are, how much of it they have taken, depending on how much you need to do in order to take your power back. But taking your power back is pretty simple most of the time.
Take your power back from what? What in the world? What kind of non-human crazy creature is running around draining you of energy? And why would you want to do it in the first place? Why are you trying to take somebody's power? What kinds of entities drain people's power?
Let me tell you the chisme. All right, so I have a cousin right here in San Antonio, and she works at a fast food restaurant. She was working Halloween night from 8 to 2. All right, 2 in the morning. So she's like, dude comes in, and she was like, he scared me. He gave me the creeps. No, what? She was like, we were not busy at all. It's like, mind you, he has a hoodie over his eyes majority of the time. She is like, he comes up to the counter and he's like, miss, I'm hungry, but I don't have no money. And she was like, well, you know what? I felt bad because I felt bad because I was scared of him. She was like, so I was like, I told him, I'll buy you your food. So he orders, they make him the food. He grabs his tray and he goes, sits down in the corner. She's like, I forgot completely about him, dude. She's like, I'm scrolling on TikTok, and for some reason I look at the time, and she's like, I kid you not, it's midnight, like right on the dot, right? And she's like, dude, I look up, because she's like, you ever feel like someone's looking at you? It's like, I look up and it's him, and he's like there, like standing like on the front counter. So I'm like, yeah. And he goes, oh, your soda machines are broken, can I get a refill? She's like, all right. So she's like, I go get him a refill. She's like, mind you, I still did not even make eye contact with this man. I bring him back his cup and he touches my hand, and then he goes, you're gonna be a real good mom, congratulations on your baby boy. And she's like, I don't have a boy. And he was like, but you're pregnant. And he goes, you really need to be careful. You need to shield your boy from all kinds of weird things that are out here. They're out to get babies. And she was like, what? And he was like, but congratulations, you're gonna be a really good mom. And she goes, and like when he says you're gonna be a real good mom, she says, like, he pulls his hoodie back a little bit. She was like she's like, this guy was not human. She says that he didn't have circle eyes. She's like, no, his eyes were like diamond. She says they're like diamond shape, right? She says that's what it is. He didn't have a little hole. Like, he didn't have a little circle. Like, we have a circle and then a little circle, another little circle. She was like, no, he didn't have that shit. It was just all black. And then she said like he looked like he was like a lizard or something like that. That's what she said. A lizard, not a wizard, a lizard. And she was like, dude, I don't know what it was. He was like, he grabbed his drink and he went outside. And I'm like shocked. She was like, I'm shocked, right? She's like, because she's like, mind you, I had been feeling sick, nauseated, and I had been suspicious that I was pregnant, but I was like putting it off, like, whatever. She's like, dude, I took a pregnancy test and guess what? I'm pregnant. She's like, you're the first one I'm calling to no. She's like, but I'm freaking out because I'm scared that this man somehow implanted an alien baby in me. I said, bitch, that man did not. You know who it was. No, but she's like, no, dude, I'm freaking out. Like, what the was he? She was like, he was not human. Like, how did he know? What do you guys think that was? Like, what, or that person was? Like, what, or was it a person? Was it a human? Or what do you think she encountered? Because that's fucking weird, right? Like, that's some crazy shit, dude. Ay, me hace sentir como que, oh, no.
I do not believe that everybody should get the luxury to be considered a human. Because human implies humanity. And a lot of y'all don't have that. I want to talk about birth as a contract. Y'all ready for that? Some people, namely the ones, were born because an ancestor made a deal, right? A dark, binding, generational agreement with the deity that their bloodline worshipped and continues to worship till this day. Long before certain humans arrived here in this country, their ancestors bargained for survival during a time of famine, plague, and war. And when desperation meets divinity, a contract is born. The war deity grants strength, victory, protection, but it comes at the price of a child. Always a child. A soul sculpted for the deity's purpose, a vessel. It sounds woo-woo, but it ain't. A lot of white people's existence is the fulfillment of a pact, which is the reason why so many are locked in a certain way of thinking. The war deity does not care how chaos manifests, right? They only care that it does. Do I even need to mention the files? I don't think I do. So the question for this generation of white people, specifically the young white boys who are extremely racist. Can a person born of a war deity's contract ever truly be free? That's the question. The bond can only dissolve when the lineage refuses to serve its purpose. My boyfriend refused, absolutely refused. Wants nothing to do with his people. He has the inside scoop. He rejected every single thing he was taught, every bias, every anti-black sentiment. He rejected. People ask a lot of questions, you know? They ask, why? Why are so many white people this way? And what can we do? There is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do. The contract is between them and their deity. And so when I saw that video of that older black woman who said, you know, this is not our lesson to learn, it resonated with me so deeply. Because I knew the same. The lesson is not ours to learn because we did not make any deals. We were dropped into a deal between white people and their deity. We are unwilling participants in a contract that originally had nothing to do with us. But we were easy blood sacrifices. Right? You steal a bunch of people from their homeland. You bring them here. You consider them 3/5 of a human. You commit acts of violence against them. You kill them. Easy to do. Not easy for the average person, but easy for people born of darkness. People were blood sacrifices. There is a story, half myth, half memory, that says white enslavers did not build their empires alone. They drew on a darker power, one older than their churches, older than their crowns, older even than these myths that they claim to reject. A war deity, hungry for domination and boundless violence, answered them not out of love, but because chaos and conquest is its favorite form of worship. But the enslavers, of course, were not the ones offered on the altar. Black people were. Black people became the blood price, the currency traded in the contract between the war deity and the white empire that it uplifted. The contract didn't need words. So we're not talking about a physical contract. We're not talking about a physical contract. We're talking about a contract that was written on the backs of the enslaved. The salt of our tears, the screams swallowed in the fields, the children born in bondage, the bodies thrown overboard in ocean graves. The war deity demanded and still demands suffering. And in turn, it granted white enslavers wealth, land, power, and the illusion that they were the chosen ones. This is a long video, I know, but I have so much to say. Black bodies were turned into unconsenting sacrifices to maintain the enslavers' fantasy of supremacy. Black people were not merely exploited. We were used as ritual offerings to keep the enslavers' world running. We're living in their world. But here's the thing they didn't expect. You cannot make sacrifice of people who refuse to die spiritually. Contract created something that enslavers and white people today did not expect. What they put our ancestors through created a people who carried ancestral fire, even in captivity. People whose survival became a curse to the deity of domination. A people whose resilience disrupted the very logic of the ritual. Instead of being broken, Black people became spiritually fortified. Ooh, it's giving me the chills. Instead of disappearing, we multiplied in resistance. Instead of being erased, we created a culture, music, memory, and a power that outlived the empire that fed on them. The war deity's contract is turning sour. The system is unraveling. And it is defying the contract that was made between white enslavers and their war god. Ritual eventually demands payment from the one who initiated, and they're no longer able to pay up. No deity can overpower a people who have learned to make life out of devastation, who learned to carry the names of their ancestors as an armor, who learned to turn the contract meant to destroy them into a testimony of their unstoppable spirit. Know that there's this urgency to act, to stand on the front lines like we've always done, because that's what's in our spirit. That's who we are as a people. But you gotta move out of the way. White people can no longer pay the price. And there will be a price.
We got a story about a year ago that was really creepy, and this took place in East Texas. And this fella liked to hunt hogs. Hunting's kind of expensive, so he wanted to get him a nice thermal scope. We're talking about a good one. They're about $5-6 grand to put on his AR-10. So he goes out there in this real thick piney wood forest. He puts his back against a tree and sits down on the ground, and there's glass in this area with that thermal scope. Well, he sits there for about an hour and a half and no hogs. So he's like, well, maybe I should move. So he's like, okay. He gets up. He moves about 150 yards away from where he was previously sitting, sits down, puts his back to the tree again. Now he's glassing in the opposite direction, looking for stuff. Well, about that time, he sees the heat signature of something moving. And he's like, oh, yeah, pigs are coming in. This is going to be it. He gets ready. Well, he starts watching this thing. And at first, he thought it was a bear. But then he said the more he watched it, it wasn't a bear. He said it looked like a naked human. Like a naked human being. And he said this thing was crawling on all fours, and it crawled directly to where the tree he was just sitting at. And he said this thing is getting its face up to the bark, and it's examining, and it's transfixed on where he was just sitting. And he's watching all this, and it looks like a white signature through his thermal scope. He said this thing sits down, and it puts its hands between its legs, and it's like squatting. And he says, it looks directly in his direction.
Oh, no.
And he's like, oh, no. I think it can see me. And he said it looks up like a wolf is going to howl. But he says, it says, help. I need help. And he said it's in a woman's voice. And he said a few seconds later, it says again, I'm injured. I need help. Is there someone that can help me? And he's like, man, I don't know. He takes his AR off safety and he shoots around over its head. He doesn't want to shoot it just in case it's a person. He said it doesn't move. He said it breaks to the left and starts running. And he's trying to follow it, but there's all these trees and brush in the way, so he's losing it. He says he touches off another round. Pow! It's still moving. But where it's moving is the opposite direction of where his truck is. So he's like, I'm not messing around. He said he ran to his truck. And he ran faster than he's probably ever ran. He got in his truck. And he's like, I don't know what that was.
Never used a scope again.
Never didn't.
See, that would be
always
one.
like, where did it go?
Where is he?
That would be one I wouldn't go. I don't know if I'd hunt.
I get chill bumps every time.
I just got it.
Every time.
So I posted a story earlier about a guy who claims to have met someone he wasn't sure was all the way human. And I've got another story for you, just like that. So this guy named Gillian tells a story from when he was a teenager working at a grocery store as a checkout clerk. It was close to closing time, and there was a bit of a rush of people because everyone was trying to grab their things before they headed home after work. He said a man that appeared to be in his late 20s was next in line, and when he approached the counter, he said his usual greeting. At first, when he was greeting him, he wasn't quite making eye contact yet, because he said he was restocking some bags at the counter. Gillian said that once he stood up and actually made eye contact with this guy, his blood ran cold. He said he didn't look much different from the other people in the shop. He was just wearing a plain t-shirt and cargo pants, but something about his eyes. He said they were the crispest blue and gray eyes he'd ever seen, but that wasn't even the part that got him. He said there was a flash of something else in his eyes. He said it felt like this man was looking into his soul, but not in a good way. He said he didn't blink at all. He just had this cold, dead stare. He also said that one of the creepiest things was he didn't reply to any of the questions that he asked this guy. Questions like, how is your day going? Or paper or plastic? Or cash or credit? And this guy just stared. And then get this. When this guy handed him the money, his finger brushed up against his hand and it physically burned him. Gillian said that this guy seemed to know that his touch burnt him. And the creepiest part of all, he just gave him a little smirk and then he blinked, but not with his eyelids. He said there was like another layer of eyelids that blinked sideways, like a reptile's. And with that, the guy just turns and leaves. And Gillian said that his hand burned for hours after that transaction. He also said that warts popped up in the area that he had the burn from his touch. Oh my God, I don't even know how I would react in that moment, or like how I would react after the warts popped up. You gotta let me know what you think in the comments and follow for more creepy story time.
I went with this one guy and he looked like a lizard. I was so scared. He was sitting beside me, I was like, oh my God. I was like, holy shit, he looks just like a lizard. And I had to go. It was really bad.
So you just left? Wow.
And it was really dark and none of it was her fault. When you're that big, you have such a team behind you and you're just going with the fucking flow.
No say so. Like literally.
Who knows?
Yeah,
No
right.
idea.
We never know.
But a lot of them chose horrible deals. People call it selling their soul. I've always kept my soul.
Yeah.
And I've been offered a lot.
I'm looking you in your eyes. You seem to have a
I'm
soul
still here.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. It all cracks.
Yeah. He turns into a reptilian
Oh
right
my
now.
God. They wanted me to go full reptile. I didn't want to.
Really?
Yeah.
How does that even work? How does somebody come to you and say, hey, I want you to be a reptilian?
They see the potential that you can do to shift the culture.
Right.
And I chose to shift it myself.
So people actually will come to you and say, hey, I want you to be a reptilian. What does that entail?
It's more like, it's basically like selling your soul. It's such a tricky.
The lizard man in the club.
Lizard man?
Well, it wasn't a man, it was a lady. When the girl Jen, her long tongue, my cousin with me, he a police officer right now. After this event, he said, bro, I'm not doing this bodyguard stuff no more.
Yeah.
I'm like, what you talking about? He said, bro, I just seen the devil. Don't move. He said, look, turn to the left and look straight across. I looked across. I seen a little lady, brunette, short. And I said, bro, I'm looking. He said, just keep looking. And in an instant, the whole face was different. I didn't see the hair no more. The tongue came out to her own ear. Shoot. But you know me, bro. I'm like, man, hold on. So I stepped down off the couch and I walk over there. As I'm walking over there, she get out my line of sight briefly. Mm-hmm. But when I get over there, it's this little normal looking lady again. And I had on a Breitling watch. And she's like, ooh, I like that watch. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, what's your name? She said her name was Jen. Gave me a Facebook page and everything.
Jen?
The name was Jen.
Like G-I-N?
Yes. So look, I'm glad you said that. So look, I'm like, man, she said her name was Jen.
Wow.
So I go back to my cousin. He said, bro, why you go over there? I said, bro, I just had to see for myself. He said, what you see? I said, bro, when I went over there, she looked normal, but I felt like I was a hamburger in front of a crocodile.
The jinn races, many of them look like lizards, literally. And as a result, if their frequency enters into people and occupies that person, they create that barrier all around. And that's their way of masking themselves, where they create a frequency and they look human under certain sounds, and under their excitement and stress, that veil is distorted at times and people all of a sudden see something they shouldn't be seeing, because that creature is trying to keep a veil of who they are. So it's a manipulation of energy that Allah is giving in Surah Al-Yasin, that we create a barrier in front of them and behind them. There's not a physical barrier because everybody recites it. But they don't think from the world of malakut and the world of light, that what are these barriers? That one, if you believe, Allah give you permission, recite.
Who was the biggest loser? Satan? No. God. God lost his man. God lost the woman he created with his own hands. God had given Adam absolute authority over this planet, and his own created son committed high treason and bowed his knee to the devil, and the devil took over.
Saints, this is just a smattering of the testimonies that we've seen everywhere. This last pastor, Kenneth Copeland, seemed to be exulting in the fact that the Most High was the biggest loser and that Satan had defeated him. You know why I think he was doing that? Because I think that Kenneth Copeland is not just a demon-possessed man. There are like a dozen or more videos showing demon-possessed moments of Kenneth Copeland. But I think when people see these things or they compile those videos, they're actually inverting what's happening. It's not that Kenneth Copeland becomes demon-possessed. It's that Kenneth Copeland is a fallen angel and he shows his true form, or at least a portion of his true form, when he starts barking and acting crazy and speaking in a low, guttural voice. That's the real him. The tamer stuff, that's the mask that's projected. We saw in an earlier testimonial, these entities project out frequencies which disguise their true form so that you see the form that they want projected into your head, into your eyes. I have personally stood looking at a woman who was not the woman I thought she was because she had a different face. It was just different. And the next thing I knew, the face reverted back to the original form that I had become accustomed to seeing. Saints, these entities are everywhere. These cryptids, these demons, these vampires, even clones. And we didn't get into that here in this message, but there is a reason that they showed the movie They Cloned Tyrone, because that stuff is real. They have flooded planet Earth with clones, with synthetic beings with no consciousness who are only moved by the artificial intelligence algorithm of Satan and his henchmen. Saints, these evil, wicked presences are everywhere, masquerading as your family, friends, neighbors, co-workers. It is time for us to be wise as serpents, but harmless as doves. We need the wisdom that comes from the Most High Yahuwah to see and to know who we are dealing with, because people have little interactions with us that we think mean nothing, but frequently they are spells, they are rituals to allow the people we are interacting with to overcome us, to overmaster us. They want us sometimes just to give them small things, or they want to give us small gifts, and those gifts activate spells that allow them to control us, to monitor us, to listen in on us. I had somebody offer me out of the blue a pair of headphones. I didn't want those headphones. I didn't ask for those headphones. They said, "Oh, just take the headphones." Why do you want me to have headphones? Because the person wanted to listen in on my life. Saints, you can't take gifts from everybody, and you can't give gifts to everybody. Everybody is not even human. Everybody is not just playing on the human plane that you're playing on. They are interacting with demons and entities that you know nothing about. But just because you've never seen them doesn't mean they ain't real. These things are real because Satan has an entire kingdom, an empire, allied against you as one of the chosen people of the Most High Yahuwah. Saints, seek the Father, seek wisdom, ask Abba Yahuwah to fill you with his Ruach HaKodesh and to enlarge your territory so that you may be strong in Yahuwah, so that you may project Yahuwah's holy presence into the world. Saints, it is time to turn aside from everything which distracts you or deflates you spiritually, to turn aside from all the works of darkness. That's what the Apostle Paul told us. That's what the Apostle Peter told us, that it's been time enough playing around with these works of darkness. Now is the time to seek the Father's face and to seek his will, because he's coming back soon, and he's coming back for his elect, his blood-washed, redeemed children of the living Elohim, the children of Yasharel, and those who confederate themselves, who turn back to Yahusha, who cleave to the Israelites, and who trust in Yahuwah Elohim, and not in any of the false gods and fallen angels of the nations. Saints, keep your eyes on Yahuwah. Still yourself. Don't let life make you so busy that you can't hear the still small voice of Yahuwah Elohim and his Son reverberating in you, calling you higher, calling you out of darkness and into his marvelous light. All praises to the Most High Yahuwah. Heavenly Father, you are the King, and you have called us as your servants and as your sons and daughters. Father, make us wise. Fill us with your Ruach HaKodesh and set us apart to your holy ways and to your holy purpose. May you be glorified and exalted in your people forever and ever. Deliver your servants from our captivity. Look upon Esau and the nations which have persecuted and hated us, and deal with them, Father, according to their works. In Yahusha's holy name, let it be done according to your word. So be it. Thank you, Father. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father. Hallelujah. Peace to the Yasharel of Elohim. Be blessed, saints.